Common cause that the statistics around sexual offences, as is the case with other categories of crime, are subject to questions of accuracy and reliability. It says the extent of gender-based violence and femicide is a national crisis. The Centre for Study of Violence and Reconciliation reported 2 years ago that population studies show that more than a quarter of men reported rape. That's 27%, and data from women shows between 25 and 40% experience physical or sexual violence. We're joined now in studio by Total Shutdown's Nomathemba Santawane, who is going to talk to us about, obviously we have been talking about how, and it was quite interesting listening to the speaker say, when asked that this is the last day of Women's Month, and she says, of course it's not. And I also find it quite fascinating that people should say this is the last day of Women's Month when we have such national crises such as this. What are the latest statistics?
I mean, right now we're still at, every 4 minutes there's a woman and a child being raped. We're sitting at every day normally the police stations, we have at least 10 rape cases that are reported. So out of the many there are, only 10 of them are reported. And, some statistics we don't have is because we don't have the correct, measures to, count and, just regulate exactly what is happening.
So when you say the correct measures, obviously you're reflecting it from the point of view that if it's not reported, then we really don't know how to account for the number of people who do face gender-based violence and femicide.
Definitely. And I think it's also our system in place is not there. There's no system regulating how we treat victims, where victims are, where victims can go, and who supports them. And I think one thing for our organization, hashtag the Total Shutdown, we're trying to be the mediator between the government and its people to just push and help both of them understand that we need to find a way to do it together, because without the other we won't find a way.
So looking at that Total Shutdown 1st March, you celebrated your 1-year anniversary.
Yes, we did.
Earlier on in the year, and there was the GBV summit which you had pushed for, which you achieved. But has there been any real or material difference?
I mean, right now we just came from a consultation that has been going on with the NSP National Strategic Plan, where we're trying to, put together a way forward for us women, especially, in government, to sit together and find a way to, practically do it, because we've been trying to do it, supporting each other, prevention, awareness, but now we want to put in place policies and laws that will actually work for us. So I think the NSP consultations has been going on right now, and we have a Google Drive document that's actually in place right now on Facebook, hashtag the Total Shutdown Intersectional Movement against gender-based violence. And you can go there as a woman in South Africa, LGBTQIA+, transgender, and just go comment and make any, edits into this policy that we're creating for us, by us.
I mean, I was just looking at just in our news bulletin alone today, we're speaking about we're speaking about Leandre, the boxer who was allegedly shot and killed by her boyfriend. There's a story about Dr. Thandi Ndlovu in the news, her family coming out saying that she'd suffered 10 years. So obviously it knows no color, no age group, no economic standing.
Definitely.
But it somehow says to me, it seems acceptable, because we continue to be shocked by these events. We continue to read these headlines, and still there's no change.
I think we've become very comfortable. As South Africans, especially women, we have allowed ourselves to get to a place where we allow the culture. There's no reprimanding that's happening between conversations in the boardroom, the conversations in private, the conversations at parties. We allow our male counterparts to say whatever they like. And it starts there, how we raise our kids, our sons, and how to allow the females around them to make their points. We're not letting it come out as a problem. We are brushing it like a sort of deficiency of some sort that can be cured, whereas unfortunately, it needs to be
crisis
destroyed.
proportions.
Definitely.
And it clearly is not being. I want to talk about the role of financial abuse or financial dependence.
All right.
On, one of the reasons that women continue to be in those abusive relationships. What can be done, not only by the state but by society, to help women out of such situations?
I think for one, we need to look back at, holding each other's hand. I mean, if I am being abused and I run into my neighbor's house, the first thing they should do is find a way to get me out of that abusive home. Call friends, call family.
But people often say that it's none of my business. I can't get involved. People are stand by and what should happen.
And I think that's the same culture that we're trying to, get rid of. The same culture that we're trying to eradicate, because we then, at the point where we get to a place where now the person dies, we're shocked and we're heartbroken and we feel bad because we couldn't have done anything. Right now we need to be standing together and doing something, not allowing it to be done. And I think just having a neighbor standing up for another neighbor is one of the things that need to start happening, and from there it's going to be a ripple effect.
The criminal justice system in general, is it doing enough in order to deter? I mean, it's still unbelievable to me when you hear of crimes of a father who rapes, sexually abuses their own child.
Yeah.
Is there enough of a deterrent from the law to discourage such acts?
For me, and I think for our organization, we feel like there's too much protecting on both sides, because most of the time, it's actually in all crimes, rape is the one crime that the victim is blamed, and it's always the case. And I feel like our justice system needs to do more practically. It's doing amazing when it comes to paperwork and what it says in the Constitution and but when it comes to the practicality, there's no results that are there for us to see.
So as you say, you're working on a plan of action.
Yes.
With the Strategic Planning Commission.
Yes.
I mean, that is obviously sort of medium to short term in terms of getting any sort of results.
Yes.
What do you say to men and women alike to be conscious of and to do starting from today as we go forth with the next project?
I think for one, I'm saying to them that we need to start standing up for one another. We cannot sit by when someone that someone you work with, a brother, a sister, a colleague is being abused. You need to say something. And if it's a child, you need to find a way to remove that child from that situation. Because if you turn a blind eye, it's not only just going to happen to that child, but it might happen to someone you know.
But sometimes it seems as if we live in a predatory society.
Yes.
You hear of women who say they've gone to report rape at a police station.
Yes.
And then they get raped. I remember a story, I think it happened in Knysna, of a woman running away from, who was being pursued by somebody who's trying to rape her.
Yes.
She runs into policemen who then shove her into the back of the police van, and rape her. Children who report rape then are repeatedly abused by the same people that they report to. How do we also stop those predatory people from repeating those crimes and getting away with it?
I think the first thing we, as family members, if you see something, you need to be the person to say it. If you know something, you have to stand up. Because unfortunately, that child, that person, is going to suffer in silence. And it leaves such a huge emotional and physical scar that can never go away. And I think we have to take it to ourselves to do something about it in your personal capacity.
Thank you so much for joining us there from Total Shutdown Movement, spokesperson Nomathemba Santawane. And we'll be back later on to speak to the Gender Commission chairperson.